We've been watching Actual Friends too much. I've been giving my commentary on it. I think it's very hilarious. I'm not going to do that again today. We've had enough for now. But I will say I did something different, which is I joined the chat. I was just eating lunch on, Friday when it went live. And so I joined the chat. It wasn't very active. I was the first person, apparently, I guess, to chat. So I said, low turnout, Dave, eh? Then I said, am I out of touch? No, it must be the vast majority of New Yorkers that are out of touch, because they were talking about Zohran Mamdani winning the Democratic primary by an enormous amount. So I said, Zohran came to the U.S. at age 7, is 33. Why does Dave say he hasn't been here 10 years? Because at one point, Dave said that Zohran hasn't been in the U.S. 10 years, which was insane. Then I said, also as a Jew, I don't think Zohran has ever said or done anything remotely anti-Semitic. Just to give you a sense of what they were talking about, they just released a video 3 hours ago called it says Jews should leave NYC, and it's called Radical Socialist Wins New York City Race. Is it still safe for Jews? That's a really bad title, Dave, because it makes it sound like socialism is unsafe for Jews, which I don't even think that's what you meant to say. Anyway, so I had fun in the chat, I was, being a little bit rude, and I won't do that again. Then there's just a very confusing interaction. I said, Russell said something about anarchism. It's so annoying, but he's not, I don't know whether he truly knows what anarchism is, because he's so confusing about it. We talked about this on an episode a long time ago. But he sometimes says things that are actually like what anarchism is, which is annoying because no one really talks about anarchism in the media enough. So when he does, it's like, okay, he's right about that. So I felt like it was worth saying. I was like, Russell is right about anarchism, though he's a bit confused and has very serious and credible allegations against him. And then someone responded, me too, which I did not understand, and I did not respond. I don't know if that's in reference to the allegations. I don't know what they're talking about. Anyways, should we see why Jews should leave New York City? I mean, it's really dumb. I mean, what has Zohran Mamdani ever said or done that was in any way anti-Semitic?
On when list lawmaker wins the primary, basically. Zohran.
She's so stressed about it.
Mamdani declares.
Oh, she's having a hard time pronouncing his name too. You'll get used to it, Sage. You'll get
victory.
Used to it.
I mean, Andrew Cuomo conceded, took the podium, initiating in as well. Pro-Palestinian hunger strikes. I want to go through.
Hold on.
He's Indian as well.
This is crazy. Look at how she introduces Zohran. All right, we're watching this.
City in the United States of America. For this 33-year-old man who is a socialist to come in. He's from Uganda, and he's Indian as well.
He's from Uganda, and he's Indian as well. Okay, thank you for that very helpful information to tell us about this man.
Pro-Palestinian hunger strikes.
Pro-Palestinian hunger strikes. It's a bizarre thing to say, Sage. What are you even talking about? Like, I'm following like everything that's going on in Palestine and Israel as best I can. Like, if there have been hunger strikes that are well known, like, okay, I haven't necessarily seen those. I believe there could be hunger strikes I don't know about, but like, that's not the thing people usually criticize someone for. Usually they're like, oh, they support Hamas or something. They don't usually say, oh, they're supporting Palestinian hunger strikes, because that's not like super like unethical in any way to be like, oh, I think people have the right to do a hunger strike to try to communicate to the world that their family and friends are being murdered by the Israeli state. Like, so just like the idea that someone being pro-Palestinian hunger strikes is like one of the top things you can think of to criticize them for after being Ugandan and Indian.
I'm going to go through the list of things that have been on his platform and he was pushing during his campaign.
So now she's just going to go through a list of his stuff, which is going to sound really bad. It's all going to sound really bad.
Of examples. He wants free school lunches.
I don't even know what to say.
New York City. He wants free city buses. He wants free childcare.
She sounds so mad. Sage, this is what people these are people's needs. I mean, you're talking about food, transportation, and childcare. Like, these are literal needs, Sage. These are actual needs.
He wants to freeze rent.
Yeah, I mean, that's also a need. People are spending more than half their income on literally on their housing.
This one is scary. He wants New York City to be a sanctuary city for queer and trans people. When I say
Sage, you live in Florida. Like, queer and trans people don't feel safe in your state. You either know that or you don't. A lot of them don't feel safe in your state. You either give a shit or you don't. So people should not have to move out of their state to be safe from their government. I would think, you small government, like people would say, but like, if they do have to go to another state, they should feel safe in New York. So yeah, that's what sanctuary city means. And that was the scary one. Sage, you just named a lot of really positive things. Keep in mind, obviously, everyone knew all this about Zohran Mamdani, and that's why he crushed.
Scary because it's the word sanctuary city.
So I'm wondering, when are we going to get to the question of, is New York safe for Jews? By the way, New York City is like a famously Jewish city, just for what it's worth. Famously Jewish.
Applies to anything, not
the most famously Jewish city, but outside of Jerusalem, potentially, in which, I mean, really, Jerusalem's probably famously very, historically very Muslim as well, and very Christian potentially as well. I think I could be wrong about that. Let me know right into verbal.
Queer, trans, any of that, because that includes, as we know, illegal immigrants as well.
Sage, I think you might have gotten confused because the sanctuary city idea applies. It's usually in the discussion of immigration, but I'm not sure why you sort of push those two together. It could be also just for queer and trans people. But yeah, I'm sure he's also a fan of the government not pulling people out of their homes and communities with the just following orders ICE department either. He's probably against that. So.
Committing $65 million, this is a scary one actually, $65 million to trans procedures.
So healthcare is the word you're looking for. And it's so funny that she keeps saying this is the scary one, because she realizes when she says each of them that they're not hitting. Dave's like trying to give her a good response. He's super easy crowd, obviously. He was a comedian before he went into this. So he knows what it's like to have people not laugh at what he says. There are some great videos out there of his stand-up sets where no one's laughing. And so he knows how much that hurts. So he makes sure to always laugh regardless of what's being said. But she can tell, she's probably full of a lot of cognitive dissonance, but she has enough presence of mind to say, this is not really landing. So each thing she says, she keeps going, well, this is the scary one. This is the scary one. Oh, healthcare for transgender people. That's the scary one, right? Because, people deciding with their doctors. By the way, she's not even talking about children, which, by the way, children need transgender healthcare too. Often that can take different forms, but obviously children need that too, because they go through puberty and so on. She's not even talking about children, just adults getting healthcare with their doctors, making decisions. She wants the government to get it between people and their doctors. There's no other way to put it.
For children and adults alike.
Oh, okay. She did mention children. So, but it's not clear why she mentions children if she has a problem with it happening with adults. People do that debate-wise. They're like, oh, transgender children exist. I'm so annoyed about that. And then you talk about that, and then you realize they're just against transgender people in general. And you're like, why did we talk about the children aspect when you don't even understand the general principle?
It goes on and on and on. And for a city that was once so great.
It goes on and on. Sage, you could have definitely found something better. But I do actually not want to watch the whole thing. Let's get to the Jews thing.
Safe again after years of them not being safe. And clean, and many ended up in the streets became safe.
Okay.
Yeah.
We have seen it go south in so many different ways.
She does not live in New York, by the way. They both live in Florida.
Under Eric Adams, who has slowly but surely regained, if he ever had any, some common sense.
Okay.
This man to potentially be able to lead the great city of New York with these kind of policies, which, by the way, also includes government run grocery stores.
Yeah, it's actually a really great idea and has worked in other places, and is not far-fetched and can really, because grocery stores are really small, low margin. As I said earlier, they're very low margin. You can't really turn a huge profit, and companies don't want to not turn a profit, and that's understandable. Same with healthcare. We shouldn't, have a profit-oriented system. It's just there's not much profit to be had. Yeah, you have the government do it. It's fine. Government does Medicare. It works great.
Redirect city funds from corporate supermarket gouging.
In my mind, and as our brilliant producer Rachel Braun pointed out earlier,
I just want to hear the parts about Jews because I'm really curious what they're going to say.
Again, emphasizing the importance of this happening in New York City. A poll by Emerson College for.
Let me just say one sentence real quick, and then Russell can go first because there's so much to say about this. But just to be clear, he's not going to be mayor just yet.
Oh my God, are they going to address Jews?
So why don't you go ahead, because you're scribbling things, and I know if Russell Brand is scribbling something, it's got to be important.
I'm sorry if I didn't make that clear, if I didn't say the...
Oh, this is actually a really funny moment I just skipped over. It gets kind of awkward. It's actually really funny. It gets kind of awkward. So Dave says...
As they say, it's bad news for New York. Russell, why don't you go ahead?
Well, Dave says, I just want to clarify he didn't win yet.
Democrat. This was so much to say about this, but just to be clear, he's not going to be mayor just yet. This was the Democrat. This was the Democrat primary. I saw a lot of people that were very confused about that last night.
So Sage, I think, is a little annoyed by this because she just made a lot of points, and I think she realizes that they were bad points. And then for Dave to respond just by clarifying that Zohran didn't win, she's like, I know. She's thinking like, I know he didn't win. Like, why'd you have to clarify that? And it makes it a little bit awkward.
There is a chance this guy does not become mayor, but regardless or irregardless, as they say, it's bad news for New York. Russell, why don't you go ahead?
Dave has nothing to say.
You're scribbling things, and I know if Russell Brand is scribbling something.
No, he's the host. He's just trying to be good.
It's got to be important.
I'm sorry if I didn't make that clear, if I didn't say the Democratic primary, because
you might have, but it's worth.
So they're polite. It's not like it's that awkward then, but I just felt like it kind of created a weird tense vibe moving on.
I think you set it up real clear, actually, the mayor presumption. I see this is...
And Russell actually makes... Like, I really think he's a disgusting person, and I'm sure my prediction is he will be found guilty of the very serious, incredible allegations against him in court. So I think he's really gross. I think he's a grifter, in my opinion, in the way he treats his platform, and he spreads a lot of anti-vax misinformation. But it is interesting to just kind of analyze the way he's engaging with this podcast, because he is like orders of magnitude more famous than Dave Rubin, who is way more famous than Sage, I think. I don't really know Sage. But it's a weird compilation, and they also don't seem to be also close friends. Like, I don't know if Russell and Sage know each other at all. I think Dave is just like the in-between. But Russell just like, in this point, just goes out of his way to be like, like Zohran's victory shows populism, and like, it's true. I mean, that's true. Like, so he makes a good point amid like the sort of all the bad points he's made.
And said a speech that he
Which
gave.
I just find interesting. Like, he comes to the conversation, he's like, I'm actually going to speak to... Like, I think he wants to show that he has something that makes him not just like a Republican, essentially.
I think at Oxford University that the future belonged to political populism was in the idea of free childcare or free housing.
I'm sorry, are they literally not mentioning Jews in this video that's titled, Is It Safe for Jews in New York?
Is always vism of Trump's policies.
Because he doesn't say anything about Jews.
To be on chill and culture by nature.
I mean, I don't think Sage is Jewish. Russell's obviously Christian. Dave's Jewish, but Dave didn't say anything in this clip. Wait, they didn't mention Jews in the clip. Jews. Okay, one time. When did they say it? No, it's in the title. Look, if you search like the, it comes up the thes. If you search Jew, wait, there's two. Hold on. Nope, that's in the description. Jewish is in the description. They don't say Jewish in the video. Dave, who do you have posting your podcast clips? Dave, you didn't talk about Jews in this clip. And I feel like you did talk about Jews on the episode. Like, Dave, what the hell,
hear what's going on in New York City.
Like, do you need help? Like, last week I debuted my content consulting advice thing. But if we go to the episode, here's a little piece of pro bono advice. You should, when you're clipping a part about Jews in New York, you should take the part where you talk about it.
The socialist to come in.
If he wins in the fall, if you are Jewish, you leave New York City, period. And the Jews have an awful lot to do with a thriving New York City for over 100
Why, Dave? Why? You will say why, right?
100 years. But you get the hell out. Unfortunately, that's a bit of the story of the Jews, but you get out. There will be pogroms.
What? There will be pogroms? Why, Dave? Like, you have to try to back that up, right?
Already right now in New York City, they don't have functioning police. Well, wait till this guy gets in charge, where he's already calling for defunding the...
So the police are not going to be functioning, which is going to cause pogroms against Jews. Why? Why would that cause pogroms against Jews?
Police and all of the rest of it.
In a city like New York.
Hold on. So that's Jewish mention number 1. Wait, what? This is a section of the episode? Oh, yeah. He said he would arrest someone charged with war crimes if they entered the jurisdiction. So that's not weird. That's totally reasonable, honestly. Okay, well, I don't know. Okay, so the Jewish Exodus is a whole section in the video.
Radical who, as you pointed out, hasn't even lived in the United States for 10 years. He said...
That's so crazy that Dave said that, as I mentioned earlier. I mean, Zohran came to the United States as a 7-year-old, I believe. Great photo. The son of an academic and a filmmaker. That's pretty dope. Was born in Uganda. Moved to Cape Town at 5. Came to New York City when he was 7. Graduated in Bronx, Maine. That sounds like more than 10 years, Dave. Not sure how you got that 10-year thing from. Where you got that from.
Who, as you pointed out, hasn't even lived in the United States for 10 years.
So it was something Sage pointed out? But she was wrong, dude. You shouldn't just take what people say, man. This is the whole Edward Gregorian thing all over again. Let's find where she said it. I don't see it. Oh, wait. Hold on. Maybe I searched wrongly. All right. Years. If we search years. It's just interesting that Sage apparently says Zohran hasn't been in the U.S. 10 years. And Dave just thinks it's true. Okay, well, I don't know where that was said, but anyways, it's not true. And as a Jewish person, I don't think there's any evidence of Zohran Mamdani ever saying or doing anything anti-Semitic at all. I'm sure their best evidence comes down to, like, he said that Palestinians, like, have a right to armed resistance or something, which is, like, the international law, like, perspective as well. That's my guess. But yeah, he supports Palestinian hunger strikes as well. Whoa, that's wild. All right, so cool. That was quite an audio-visual segment. This is going to be a super long episode. Y'all really get your money's worth from these memberships and these Patreon patronages. Hey, right? I mean, I'm a pretty good content guy, right? I provide the content. Am I right? This is a podcast or something.